Extinction is covered in crazy visuals, and some may say it's the best map on ARK. But have you ever wondered what useless facts there are about Extinction? I bet you haven't. Anyways, here's 50 useless facts about Extinction you literally don't need to know. Fun fact, if you ever find light posts and you're bored and you have C4 inside of your base, go put a piece of C4 on one of the sides of it and detonate it. I promise you, it's fun. They pretty much just like to spin in circles. Now it only does it for a couple spins, and unfortunately does kind of stop, but I thought it was kind of funny as they can just kind of spin uncontrollably. Now it works better with the ones up here on these platforms. So here's a light post, put a piece of C4 on it up top, and yeah, they love to spin. The Ice Titan is actually one of the best wood farmers on ARK. Now while it may not be able to actually physically harvest wood, well, it knocks down every single tree whenever it walks near them. So yeah, you just walk by, and it will knock down everything. So here's a good little forest of trees. Let's go ahead and just jump straight over them. It is literally the most satisfying thing in the game. If you're ever just wandering around the wasteland part of Extinction outside of the city, you'll come across a lot of these just bone fragments and just, remains of humans, right? Along with a lot of vertebrae and just all kinds of stuff. There's legitimately millions of these pieces on the map, I'm not even kidding. So anyways, I found out something a little interesting about specifically this one. Now there are more, I just can't find anything else that's this exact layout. But this is clear as day a human. I would turn off the grass, but this is considered grass and turns off with it too. So kind of can't show you that. But for some odd reason, they have a crazy amount of fingers. Like look, right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 total fingers on each side, by the way. This one I think has a little bit more. But yeah, it's just kind of definitely makes you wonder. I'm interrupting today's video to tell you that this video is actually sponsored by the subscribe button. You see, I'm nearly at 100,000 subscribers and would love your support. Since I'm not doing a sponsor for this video, it would absolutely mean the world to me. Okay, did you subscribe? Psych! This video is sponsored by Mitra 9. Mitra 9 is a non-alcoholic supplement that quite literally makes you feel good. These drinks give you a high, but without the impairment. They have a ton of great flavors, my favorite being root beer. If you're looking for a new drink to replace your coffee in the morning, Mitra is the way to go. Simply go to mitra9.com and use my code OUTCAST for 25% off your entire order. Now, back to the video. Now, around the city and the outskirts of the city, you'll notice there's a lot of these just kind of glass buildings with still intact glass. It does kind of make you wonder, what's behind them. But something else that you don't really get to see, well, your player actually doesn't have a reflection, yet you can see everything else in it perfectly fine. Like for example, there's that rock. Oh look, there's the same rock, right? Well, you can also see a little bit back there, like there's something kind of glowing. Well, there's something kind of glowing back there as well. But your player doesn't have a reflection. Well, unless you look at it sideways. So as you can see, your player does have a reflection, only sideways, but not when you look at it. It's just kind of weird. Over here on the map, inside of the wasteland area, you'll notice over here, this happened recently too. This is more of a recent thing with the last update. Well, it completely broke the terrain over here. So for some odd reason, well, there is no terrain here. There never really was any terrain here. But yeah, this is kind of here. Not really sure why either, and you can't really access any of it. It's just kind of here. When you try to land on it, you just fall straight through. It's like an entire hill just got placed here for some odd reason. I have no clue how this even happens. But it spans all down here, including all just the little metal parts that you would normally find. If you ever get caught attacking some, just tech dinos that are in the city, as you can see here, I'm attacking these defense units right here. The scout will actually trigger an alarm system which will target you, and this aggroes every single other tech dino, which could be an enforcer, could be other scouts, could be these guys. It just kind of triggers all of them within a certain radius, and well, they will all come and try to help save the defense unit that is being attacked. It is kind of hard to show because I'm not fully in range of these guys, but anything that is technically around you will get triggered onto you, and even if you try to fly away from him, he still follows you. Now something a little weird for some odd reason, if you're ever on Extinction just kind of walking around, you'll notice that you have two types of crystals that you can usually find, maybe three depending on where you are, which is the big main crystals right around there. They give you crystal, right? These blue gems on the other hand, give you green gems. Yeah, so the blue colored gems give you green gems. Now you probably don't really know what I'm looking at here, but for you OG players, you guys should know this location pretty well. You know how it has the platform here, and well, when you go up, yeah, well, there used to be a rat hole here. This was actually Extinction's probably best rat hole back in the day, and unfortunately, it did get patched. Now the weird thing about this rat hole, when you go into Ghost, and you go into it, so the entrance used to be right here in this corner, and you go all the way into it, well, the rat hole is still here today. This was the entrance. This was a little wider than normal, but it was right in there and you could come up and this was your main entrance. Now, if you went up here, it kind of just kept going upward. You know, you had your platform up here just for reference. This is how big that my character is. It was a relatively large rat hole. Now down here, you also had a much bigger room as well, making probably one of the best locations on Extinction. And unfortunately, ARK did patch it. Now, when you look at this rat hole on ASE, you'll notice something a little weird. It is exactly identical, and I mean piece for piece identical to the ASA one. So, this kind of proves that they quite literally copy and pasted this whole section of Extinction, which does make you wonder, is the entire map just copy and pasted? Over on the evolved version of Extinction, this little ARK icon over here actually blinks, as you can see. Sadly, on Ascended, they took this feature out, and I absolutely hate them for this. But yeah, it just kind of has a blinking feature. About every 10-ish seconds, it will just start blinking again, which is kind of cool. If you're ever inside one of the bubbles over here, you have the snow and the desert bubble, as you can see right over there. Doesn't really matter which one. And you're just kind of wandering around, and you go into camera mode, and yes, you can do this even, you know, without being in single player. But if you get right up on the corner, now you don't have to be up here. This is just to kind of make it, you know, do this easier. So let's say we're right there, and you have to wait until, you know, it's fully zoomed in, then go into camera mode. Once you're in camera mode, go outside of the bubble, and you'll notice, you know, nothing really happens, stays about the same, right? Well, when you exit camera mode and you try to go outside the bubble, occasionally it just completely glitches out and you'll start to see terrain everywhere. Okay, I had it happen for a second. I just saw it for a split second. There it is right there. Okay, so it is zoomed in, but it kind of bugged out. And just like that, the terrain is now glitched. And this is kind of weird because you get to see the desert terrain as well. Let me turn my speed up a little bit so you guys can see this better. But yeah, it's very faint. And you can see it. It does work on multiplayer, but it is much harder to get it to function. So it shows you all of the desert and the snow ones as well. ARK has patched a good amount of the rat holes, but over here on screen at 5522, you'll notice this rat hole is one of the last ones that is still standing, and they still didn't patch it. I mean, it's nothing too crazy, but it is kind of a nice little hidden secluded spot that does actually offer you a couple little bit of resources, and you get some metal back here as well. But yeah, ARK really never did patch this one, so we still have it today. So if you are looking for a spot to build, not a lot of people really like to build here because it's just not that popular. If you can put a couple turrets, it makes for an amazing starter location. At 55 latitude and 30 longitude, you'll notice that there is this kind of mech sword poking out of the ground here. Well, if you get rid of all the bushes that are kind of in the way, it will reveal that it is Santiago's sword. So if you don't know from the lore, Santiago, well, he unfortunately does die, and well, this is his sword from the old days. So yeah, it just kind of has a little bit of an Easter egg to Santiago's sword. This one is a little bit more known, but figured I'd put it on this list. Over at 42 latitude and 30 longitude, you'll find this little kind of arch stairway thing kind of going down here. Well, believe it or not, over here in the corner, there is a little hidden room. Now this little hidden room used to be a rat hole on ASE, but on ASA they kind of just doubled down on it and turned it into a nice little hidden area where you can find crystal, you know, you got some bushes, some rocks. It's a nice little secluded spot that not a lot of people know about, and to get back up you can just kind of climb up here. Well, you used to be able to, never mind, okay. All around the wasteland, you can literally find millions of dead bodies everywhere. And yes, I quite literally mean millions. So if you don't know, they basically were able to turn these little skeleton pieces and just from, you know, players, from dinos, into an actual physical like grass piece, meaning that you can kind of turn it off and on with this command. Now, if you don't know what that means, to the people that do know, you know, about map making and stuff, well, this means that all of this stuff was painted on with basically all of the grass, meaning there's most likely an endless amount of these, and you probably physically cannot count how many of these that there are. But just in this one little area, I see, a skull there, these giant bones, you have lots of vertebrae, spines from dinos. There are so many different just unique pieces in here. It would literally take you hundreds of years to even count every single one of these on the map. And this is just this one little tiny section of the map. Occasionally, every few days on ARK, a wild king titan will just randomly spawn somewhere on the map. I unfortunately do not have an admin command to prove this, and I've legitimately been waiting about 45 minutes and he will not spawn in, but he kind of circles around the city and will just kind of be there for about 15-ish minutes. Now, he doesn't last long, and his health is decently high, so you gotta be careful and kind of plan out how to kill him. Now, when you do kill him, he does give you a good amount of XP and a couple little bonus items too. But yeah, so this is the closest that I can kind of get to showing you him. I had to use a different kind of mod, and just for scale, this is how big that his toenail is next to my player. So yeah, they are insanely massive, and if you ever see one wandering, make sure that you go prepared. Now, I really don't know what to do with this information, and this is why this is the perfect video for this. So, when you come up to a terminal and you are an admin on a server, well, believe it or not, you can actually destroy the terminals. It doesn't work for every single one of the terminals. Like, yeah, this one is not registering, so let me find a different one real quick. Alright, so here's a different terminal, and yeah, for some reason that terminal that I was just at, believe it or not, you cannot even physically use it. It's kind of confusing. But yeah, so when you come across any kind of terminal, you'll notice it pops up on screen with primal structure city terminal BP_C 51. Now this kind of goes over every single type of terminal, and you can respawn them in. I haven't figured out the code yet though, but it is technically possible. So yeah, if you hit it with your admin gun, well, it completely just deletes it. It is fully gone, and well, yeah, I mean, it's good for certain servers where you don't want people transferring out, or you're building maybe a battle royale style kind of system. I can see how that would work, but other than that, it's just kind of useless. If you ever get yourself a Paracer, specifically the corrupted one, well, you kind of can't do that to begin with, but believe it or not, you know how they have the corrupted pieces on them? You know how it kind of goes around and shows you their inner bones, which is pretty cool. Well, ARK messed up and forgot to do a section, and you can literally see straight inside of him, which is kind of cool if you want to see all the visual part of his corrupted area. But other than that, I don't know. The giant rib cage that you can normally see just out here in the wasteland was rumored to actually be a fallen titan that was supposed to be an experiment. Now, while there is no proof of this in the dossier, based off of just Reddit forums and a lot of things that I've kind of seen about this guy, that is what the majority of people actually think. So it was one of Rockwell's little failed experiments, and now it just lies here in the middle of the desert. And considering the true scale of this guy, he is insanely massive. I mean, much bigger than a king titan in size. Around, what, 5 to 6 times bigger than a king titan, I believe. So yeah, I mean, considering this is just the eye socket, that should tell you that. If you don't know, corrupted nodules actually act as organic polymer, and if you eat them, it insta-kills you. Over in the hot springs area, over here in the wasteland, you'll notice that there is, crystal blue looking water, probably some of the best looking water in ARK in my opinion. And well, believe it or not, this is the only set of water that does not spawn any kind of fish. No fish. It literally will not spawn any kind of water dino as well. There are other areas on the map that do, but this is probably the only set of water on ARK that will not spawn any water dinos. Over in the more tougher kind of regions of the map, you'll notice this is kind of the red zone or the exclusion zone, whatever you call it. You'll find these white kind of rocks over here, and if you mine it, you actually get this thing called silicate. Now silicate, believe it or not, when you hover over it, it's hardened deposits of silicon, and it can be refined into silicon plates. Silicon plates are the same thing as silica pearls, meaning you can farm thousands and thousands of silica pearls over here, making it one of the best locations for just farming pearls. All of these light posts on Extinction quite literally serve zero purpose at all. And considering that the map cannot be turned to darkness at all unless you are inside of one of the bubbles, well, these lights quite literally serve no purpose, but are on 24/7. So whoever is in charge of paying for that electric bill, I'm sorry for you. The Utyrannus is probably the mana's worst enemy. And what I mean by this is that they cannot be frozen. So when you try to freeze them, as you can see, it gets to about there, and you can't freeze them. Meaning it is one of the only dinos on ARK that cannot be frozen by the mana, which is very overpowered. Plus he has his ability, which as you can see, fears the mana. So if you ever need a mana and you're like, what dino should I bring? Well, don't overlook bringing a Uti. It's kind of more useful than you think. The Enforcer can be spawned from level 1 all the way up to technically level 175, but for some reason it goes up to 191 on single player, so I don't know why. But anyways, if you spawn a level 1 Enforcer, so you know how they can kind of just like teleport, right, by using this ability? Well, this guy only has one of them. However, the higher level that you get, the more jumps that it has. So here's a level 191, and as you can see, I have 5 total teleport jumps now. So there's 1, there's 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this does change based on level. Just to prove it, here's a level 62. And as you can see, he only has 2 jumps. So yeah, it does change depending on the level. If you are not familiar with the lore of Extinction, this entire map is this way because of one main thing on the map that a lot of players actually overlook, and that is the giant crater. A lot of people don't really know about this, or they overlook it because they just think it's a background. But no, this actually plays a pretty significant role about why Extinction is like this today. And as you can see from the size of the city compared to the crater, well, the crater is kind of insanely large. And I wish that I could go out farther. I can with camera mode, so I'll show you that at least, but you physically can't walk out here. All right, so here's camera mode, just to show you. I'm already a while away from my character. And yeah, this is just the beginning of this crater, just for reference to show you how massive that this crater actually is. So that's the city. You could probably fit about 60 or 70 of those cities inside of this crater. But yeah, basically a thing came down, struck the Earth area, and well, it created this. With the delivery crates, there is something that is actually kind of useful that a lot of people overlook. So back on ASE, you weren't able to jump on top of them, but on ASA, you can. So simply come up here, hit locations, and you can just deploy to, you know, whatever waypoint that you want. So this is waypoint 0. I have no idea which waypoint that is going to take me to. And as you can see, the balloon will start to rise. Now, when it pops, as you can see, your character will still sit on top of it. So you could sit up here with anything like a Fabby Sniper or something, and well, kind of just grief people depending on where you are. It's a free hot airline ticket to just kind of go ahead and grief enemy players. Also forgot to mention, you can ride on top of the balloon as well. It is a little tricky to get on it though. So you can sit inside of this and kind of scope out, but you gotta be careful, otherwise you will fall straight off of it. Just know they are very, very weak and somebody can take it down with like 3 shots. So you're not really that strong on top of it. If you're ever inside of a scout, you go ahead and throw him out and you go up kind of anywhere. It doesn't really matter where you are, but if you go into camera mode, well, it just kind of breaks the whole game. So when you go into the mode, it completely just deletes your whole character for some reason and kind of keeps you in this forever. So when you get out of it, I'm on my character right now. As you can see, I am jumping. I cannot move, like I'm moving sideways, but my camera is fixed on this angle. When you go into first person, it's slightly kind of sideways right here, and there's literally nothing that you can do. It's just completely broken, and you can't even like leave the game and rejoin. You have to fully get killed or just go into your inventory and use this just to die. Now when it's nighttime on Extinction, you really will never be able to notice, you know, in the sky, because the main sky doesn't ever go to darkness, right? Well, you can actually notice it within the bubbles. So here we go, set time of day, and let's do 2200, right? As you can see, the bubbles actually turn to darkness, and that's how to tell if it is nighttime or not. Now randomly hidden all around Extinction are these little kind of hexagon banner things that just come in like ranges from small to very, very large, just hidden things all around the place. Anyways, these actually aren't just for cosmetic. They actually are hidden symbols that actually mean something. So for example, here's this one, and then I'll put the one up on screen for what this means. Now this one says, please don't touch the plants. There's a lot of hidden messages on here. It's very hard to try and figure out them all, but if you wear a tech helmet at certain times, they will show up. Like for example, this one is not popping up for me right now, but it will pop up with text either underneath it or above it or beside it. I mean, it's different for every single one of them. But yeah, these actually do mean something. So there are, I believe, 20 or 30 of them all just scattered around the city. Like here's the much bigger ones. Just none of the messages are showing up currently. Like I said, it's just very, very random, and they only come on during certain events. Like here's one where, for example, we have a giant storm of asteroids coming in. There is one that talks about that and talks about the defense barrier being active. I don't know where it is exactly, but I do plan to make another, just bigger video about this, because I feel like these actually have a proper meaning. Now, believe it or not, if you have a hazmat suit on, you are actually immune to the corrupted wyvern breath. So for example, here's a corrupted wyvern. Let's go ahead and aggro him. I have him aggroed right there. This is very hard to show you guys. And yeah, just like this, let's go ahead and hit walk. And as you can see here, he is 100% immune to the corrupted wyvern breath. Now he does still technically attack you, so you have to watch out for the bites. But as you can see, I'm not even in God mode, and yeah, I take little to no damage from him. Now once you trap a mana, if you just let it keep jumping and just jumping over and over, its stamina will eventually get super low and then he'll run out of stamina, but his food actually will drain even when he's just sitting here in the trap. So when you knock him out, it'll pretty much almost be an insta-tame. And as you can see here, when you go inside of his inventory, his food is at 1700 out of 2200. So just to be clear, this doesn't always work, so just know that. It will only work probably about half the time, I'm not entirely sure. If your mech is ever super low on health or just kind of low on health in general, well, there's actually a much easier way to heal him than using, a snow owl or a Deodon. Simply just get a scout and go ahead and just toss it out right there. And well, even when you're kind of near him, the scout will kind of do a little bit of an animation, which will basically heal up a mech pretty much, not instantly, but very, very, very quickly. Now you can't get too close to him, but if you're just in range, and this works on PvP, PvE, literally anything. So if you're trying to fight somebody or somebody is attacking you, have somebody else on a scout and they can be literally anywhere in the map and they can still heal you. Now back in the day, whenever Extinction first originally came out on ASE, I think it was around 2018. Well, it introduced this thing called the cryopod. Now the cryopod today is the most used item on ARK. Everybody should honestly know this, but yes, it is the most used item on ARK, and while there is no technically official thing that kind of proves this, well, I mean, it's kind of obvious. Think about it. It's about dinosaurs, and what's better, than having to transport with a Quetzal or something? Well, putting it in a little ball and kind of just moving it around. So yes, my prediction is that this is the most used item in ARK. Over here at 48 latitude and 53.6 longitude, here's more of these kind of hexagon little ribbons. If you go ahead and put on your tech helmet, I can finally show you proof that this stuff actually works. This one says, warning, hostile contact, defensive barrier active. And this basically is referring to, I believe, with the asteroids, how they come down. I think that's kind of the system that's built into the city that stops the asteroids from physically hitting the city. And these can be found on a lot of other ones as well. However, they don't always show up. Overseer protocol in progress, lock down your stations. I'm not entirely sure exactly what this one is referring to. I believe it's with the islands, Overseer of course, but why is this on Extinction? It's a little bit confusing. And these don't really have anything to do with the dossiers, at least from my knowledge. I haven't really seen anything about them. Here's another one right here. I literally just saw it. Oh, okay, it went away. But yeah, they randomly will just kind of pop up for a couple seconds and just disappear. Like as you see, literally while I'm filming this section, they're all gone now. There is another hidden message at 40 latitude and 37 longitude. If you're coming up here on the ground, it just says A7 priority, communication received, A-Rat Prime is locked down. This is 100% a reference to Lost Colony, and I'm not sure what it means, but I know this is probably going to be important in the next coming weeks whenever the map does release. If you have yourself a pair of gachas, it doesn't really need to be a pair, but for better production, get a pair. Well, they actually will drop gacha crystals, right? I mean, everybody kind of knew that. However, inside of their little wheel right here, if you go to production, it has a chance to actually have organic polymer. And, well, I did kind of teach you guys about this with the soap method back a couple videos ago. Well, believe it or not, these are organic polymer crystals, right? So you can technically keep it in the crystal and it will stay its current form and it will still be organic polymer, but the second that you consume it, it gives you about 17 organic polymer, which spoils in 30 minutes per organic polymer, of course. But yeah, it's very, very similar to soap, and guess what? This is passive production, meaning you don't have to do anything at all. So organic polymer is one of those resources everybody always needs. Well, simple as this, just put it in a vault and just name it organic polymer crystals, and then when you need organic polymer, you can take out a couple and use it to craft something. This is technically the farthest that you can go out into the crater, which is the farthest area out just kind of on the map in general, which is right here. So this is officially the farthest that you can go. Actually, let's go ahead and test out this one. Let's see, can you come down here without getting killed? I don't think so, but let's give it a shot. Okay, never mind. This is the farthest tip that you can possibly go out into the crater, and just for reference, you're still not even in the main part of the crater. But yeah, so I don't really know why you guys needed to know that info. I just thought it was kind of cool. On Evolve, these giant red flowers that you see scattered across the really, really dangerous zone, you can actually walk on. As you see, I can actually walk across the majority of it, not the full thing because it's a little bugged. But on Ascended, you unfortunately cannot do this. It's just kind of confusing. Now, back in the day, this giant little tentacle thing, whatever you want to call it, it's kind of confusing, just giant rock of just randomness in the back here was actually supposed to be some sort of elevator which was going to lead you up to a whole nother area of the map. And of course, on release, it never really got put into anything. But yeah, this giant thing back on ASE, not ASA's version, was supposed to be some kind of form of elevator, at least from all the rumors back then, at least. The Dreadnoughtus, first of all, this is just a gorgeous one, but the Dreadnoughtus, believe it or not, doesn't have any front toes. He has these little nubs, but these don't qualify as toes. These are toes in the back here with the nails poking out. But yeah, he has these little thumbs, which are kind of funny. But yeah, I think it's probably the only dino that doesn't have front feet, but still does have back feet. Looking into these lights, at first, you can't really see anything. It just looks like kind of a blue slate, right? Well, if you go into camera mode and you come all the way up on it and zoom in, you can see the individual actual LED bulbs in this. And when you turn, I'm very sorry for your eyes, especially if you're watching this on a TV right now, because I know that this hurts to just look at. Also, one more thing that I have to show. If you come over here and you're walking down the pathway, well, ARK accidentally misplaced these lights. And to this day, they still haven't fixed it. ARK, please. At the end of Aberration's final boss fight, you will get a cutscene which goes over just a bunch of stuff of it ascending, doing all this cool fancy stuff. Well, the reveal at the end, originally I thought was actually Extinction, but believe it or not, it's actually ARAT Prime, which is the next map, Lost Colony. I didn't even know this until now. All these years I was thinking that it was Extinction and just, it was the rough draft of what Extinction was going to look like. Well, no, that's actually ARAT Prime. And you can prove it with these little homes in the bottom down here, and you can see the giant tower in the background as well. Yeah, kind of crazy. I'm just now finding this out. The Snow Owl is probably the best dino from Extinction that can actually be used to just find all kinds of other dinos. For example, on screen, as you can see here, everything that is a dino will pop up in a different color, like being purple, bluish, kind of that little tone, right? Well, this makes it phenomenal for finding Thylos, because when you're going into the redwoods, as you can see kind of around you, well, everything is just kind of gray. But Thylos will actually pop out, considering, you get purple all across your screen. It's kind of hard to prove this because every time that I want to film with a Thylo in a video, they never spawn. It is the most aggravating thing in the world. But yeah, if you're looking for a Thylo, just go get a Snow Owl and you'll find a bunch. This is the highest tip on Extinction that you can possibly go to actually being the highest tip out of any other ARK map. But I had a question. How long does it take to get from here all the way down to the grass down there? Let's go ahead and test it. Well, that's how long that it takes. I don't know because I didn't time it, so it'll be on screen right now. And if you guys watch that entire clip, this just proves that you guys will just watch anything. If you have a couple gachas and you have yourself a Pego Mastax, well, believe it or not, after the ASA's version of Extinction, Pegos can now pick up gacha crystals. So instead of having to use mods, simply just get a Pego, and as you can see here, you can change to pickpocket, but you also have Enable Gacha Crystal Collection. When that is enabled, he will actually pick up gacha crystals, and he has to be kind of close to him, kind of similarly in a bit of a range. Let's see if he got any. So yeah, he didn't get any, so I'll put a little time lapse really quick. Okay, looks like he picked one up. Yep, and just like that, they actually pick up gacha crystals, as long as he has to wait for it, of course. If you ever spot these little water bursts over in the desert region, just walk straight into them and, well, your character starts to have a little bit of fun. If you wander over here to the opposite side of the desert bubble, which a lot of people just really don't do, and you look out into the crater, and I'll do this kind of as legitly just to show you, but if you go into camera mode, and this is going to change depending on, your settings, like on official, it'll probably be about right here, but you can still see it. Believe it or not, you can actually see the desert caves where you can spawn in the desert titan. So I'll kind of go down here just to show you, but here's the first window. And at first it doesn't really show you that much until you get right up on the window, and then you can see in it, but you can't unfortunately access it. I thought it was kind of cool as it's just sitting over here on this side, and a lot of people do not even know that you can actually see the physical cave. Of course, it only loads in when you're in a certain range though. Now, if you kill the King Titan on the highest possible level, first of all, it'll be this kind of tech version, just to show for reference. I'm gonna go ahead and just admin cheat this just to show you, so you guys aren't sitting here for 2 hours. But yeah, if you come up here and you kill him, well, believe it or not, his little terminal area down here gives a lot of loot. But there is a little bit of loot it gives a little too much of, and that is C4 detonators. As you can see, now this one's a little bit lower than the last one was that I got, but you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 C4 detonators out of this one, but I had one right before this that gave this amount of C4 detonators. I don't know why, it just gives a lot of C4 detonators, and it just kind of, I don't know, it messes with my mind sometimes. If you're ever just kind of wandering around Extinction, at any time of the day, usually specifically more at night, if you look straight up in the sky, well, you can actually find the broken moon. Now, right now it is directly above, but it can be found all along the horizon right here. But yeah, this is the broken moon, which as you can see, is basically a moon that is quite literally broken. I mean, there's nothing else to it. But this is a teaser to Lost Colony or ARAT Prime. So if you don't know, with Lost Colony, you can see it in the artwork that is currently right there. You can also see it on, I believe, Aberration, except I couldn't really find any proof of that. I just saw off some like Reddit posts and stuff. But yeah, cool little feature and a cool little Easter egg as well. If you fly all the way up above the city and kind of look at the entire city from this angle right here, well, it looks kind of like a, all right, bye.